FanFic Critic. I read it. You listen. Ha ha, hee hee, ha ha, yeah. Today's fanfic. Today's fanfic. Insanely in Love, a SpongeBob SquarePants fanfic. You know what? This fanfic pissed me off so much that I'm not even going to read any of it out loud to you. You want to know why? Because it's not worth reading out loud to you. Instead, I will tell you about what happens in the story as far as I've read it. The thing is, I was reading the story the other day and I couldn't even get through reading it. That's how bad it pissed me off. So let's first start with the summary of the story. The world may have thought Squidward was crazy, but it was SpongeBob with the crazed love fixation. Who could blame him for wanting to show SpongeBob just how dangerous love could be? M for rape, gore, language, bunnies, slash, etc. now complete. The author of this fanfic is Alert Poison Tampon. Well, it's actually two authors who wrote this story. They made this account just to publish this story. The two authors who actually wrote this story is Poisonetta and Tampon Masturbation. Tampon Masturbation, does that name sound familiar to you? Oh, it should. Because Tampon Masturbation was one of the authors that showed up in episode 8 of FanFic Critic. Remember that episode from that really shitty season of FanFic Critic where I read 3 SpongeBob SquarePants fanfics and the result was me going insane? Well, she's one of the authors. So, if you look at their little profile, let's see what they say so then we can have an idea about what the story's going to be about. So, this is what they have on their profile. Claimer, we own everything, you own nothing. Deal with it, faggots. Oh, how charming, how charming. Hi, my loves, it is I. Turns head dramatically. Poisonetta. Tampon and I decided to make this fabulous joint account. We made one before, but we forgot the password, so yeah. You can find my fiction somewhere. We will be mainly writing SpongeBob and other cartoons, aka we make it into porn and giggles at ourselves whenever someone spasms at it. Oh, then you must be giggling at me right now because I'm really spasming at it. We will mainly be But yes, fun will be made here as we both write kinky sweaty sexing together. Ha ha ha. So enjoy, relax, grab a tampon and stick it up there. But be careful, it could be poison. Wah ha 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 cheese. Poisonetta. Doesn't this Poisonetta person sound lovely? Let's see if Tampon Masturbation is any better. I don't think there's any more I can add at this point, but I'm, me. Tampon Masturbation. As you can see, Poisonetta introduced herself first, but that doesn't mean I'm any less important, does it? Pout. The point is, expect some nice rapings up on here. Hell, we're already starting our first ficky, so joy to you boys and girls, but mostly boys. Beautiful, beautiful ook boys to be raped. Anyway, feel free to be flaming us like we really care anyway. Hell, people flamed Hitler too, and look how he turned out. Or bad example, never mind. And with that Hitler reference, I bid thee farewell. Tampon Masturbation. Warning, the previous profile contained foul language. Don't read it if you find that sort of thing offensive, queer. So as you can see, these people are purposely trying to piss you off. Good chance that their fanfics are most likely troll fics, but seeing this was requested to me, I kind of have no choice but to read it. So don't start yelling at me for saying, oh, you're reviewing a troll fanfic. So, the premise of this story. From what I read so far, Squidward's kind of nutty, and he has this weird fascination with SpongeBob. And as for SpongeBob, he's clearly a homosexual, and he has a thing for both Squidward and Patrick. Patrick is going out on a date with Mindy, and he encourages SpongeBob to go and spend the day with Squidward. So, SpongeBob decides to go do that, and he goes to Squidward's house, and Squidward is being oddly kind to him. So after Squidward allows SpongeBob to go inside the house, Squidward locks the door menacingly, and it kind of foreshadows that something bad is going to happen. So he drugs SpongeBob, he lets him have one more peaceful moment before he decides to make SpongeBob quote-unquote real. Because in the first chapter it stated that Squidward wants to make SpongeBob real because SpongeBob is too happy-go-lucky and hasn't had anything bad happen to him. So he wants to help him in a sense. It's a little confusing because both of these authors kind of vary with their versions of the characters. Tampon Masturbation seems to kind of have more sympathy towards Squidward, whereas Poisonetta writes Squidward as a complete and utter douchebag. But both versions do a good job of making the entire thing unlikable. Now for me, this fanfic was like 14 chapters long, and I only got through to like chapters 4 or 5. That's as far as I could go before I completely lost it. So this is what happens so far that caused me to stop reading. Well, Squidward, he wakes up SpongeBob and he's being all nice to him at first, and we're assuming that he's kissing him, and then he decides to be blunt with him and saying, "Oh, well, I'm going to hurt you because I want to make you real." So he starts to cut SpongeBob in the face. So yeah, it's your typical torture. So SpongeBob's all upset. He's like, "Oh, why are you doing this? Did I upset you? Do you hate me?" And Squidward's like, "No." So Squidward starts to tell SpongeBob, "I love you." And then he starts to beat the shit out of him as he's saying that he loves him. And then SpongeBob's like, "Why are you beating me up if you love me?" And then he's like, "Well, I don't really love you." But why do you hate me?" SpongeBob questions. "I don't hate you either." And he's like, "Then why are you doing this?" And then Squidward looks at SpongeBob's groin area and says, "Oh, maybe it's because I'm horny." So he starts to take off SpongeBob's pants and he starts to jerk him off. And he's saying, "You like this, don't you?" And SpongeBob admits that he likes it. And then he says to him, "Oh, if you come, I'm cutting your dick off." Oh, yeah, so you would think realistically that if someone tells you that, you would immediately lose your erection. But for some miraculous reason, SpongeBob's erection stays, he comes, and Squidward cuts his dick off. So the next chapter is Squidward taking a shower, jerking off himself because I guess torturing and dismembering SpongeBob turns him on. And the next chapter after that was when I stopped. He comes out of the shower and he decides to start to butt rape SpongeBob. And that's where I stopped. At this point, it's like, I'm not reading this garbage. What the hell is wrong with authors like these two? Why do they have to take something that is supposed to be for children and maim it so horribly like this? I mean, the story that Tampon Masturbation originally wrote on her own profile, Fool and SpongeBob, you know, the one where Patrick and SpongeBob fool around with each other, although that one doesn't really make sense for the show, I could tolerate that one more than this because at least they were somewhat in character if SpongeBob was supposed to be more adult and if they were really supposed to be a gay couple. This, on the other hand, just makes no sense. Squidward doesn't like SpongeBob, but he would never do anything like this. And another fanfic from episode 8 that made more sense than this was the fanfic Leave Me Alone, where Squidward goes nuts and kills Patrick and is gonna kill SpongeBob. That one kind of makes sense because you're supposed to assume that they drove him to the point of craziness where he'd want to kill them, which you can kind of see that happening in the show if it was more adult. This, on the other hand, no. This is utter garbage. What the hell were they thinking when they wrote this fanfic? This fanfic just makes me want to scream. These two should be ashamed of themselves, and if they're laughing at this, well, you want to know what? Fuck you guys. You guys suck. You guys must be real proud that you're writing garbage like this. Why don't you put your creative juices towards something that, I don't know, people would actually read? You guys have the potential of being good writers, but if you're going to waste your time writing shit like this, then why bother? Huh? Why bother? Why should you even bother doing this? I feel like I'm going to scream. This fanfic is... Ugh. Yeah, I think this is a little more effective than using the phase pistol, if you know what I mean. Isn't that right? And she's not even answering me anymore. Okay, yeah. So, she's the FanFic Critic. She reads it. You listen. And remind me to keep her away from the authors Poisonetta and Tampon Masturbation. In other words, don't request any fanfics by those authors, or then I'll probably have to kill you myself.